All right, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wax and Whiskey podcast. I am fully clocked out of Altamont Family Hearing. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship, hearing healthcare in general, crazy patient stories. And if you're into that and you're clocked out, grab a drink. Let's dive in. I hope you guys enjoy the show. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jaysee, the bald hearing guy, owner of Altamont Family Hearing. Welcome to the Wax and Whiskey podcast. For those that are not watching, we do a video version, we do a podcast version of this as well. And this is me clocked out. It's Friday. I'm not seeing any other patients. And the podcast is called Wax and Whiskey. So what we're going to be doing is having some whiskey. But what I want to talk about tonight, it's going to be nighttime in a little bit. What we're going to talk about today is I received a Cultivator of the Year award with CQ Partners. And I was really excited to receive that. It meant so much to me. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about that. So, like, if you guys are an entrepreneur, if you're starting, if you're already established, if you've been through the roller coaster of entrepreneurship, I think you guys will enjoy this episode. But hang out with me. So here, I kind of just vent about what's working, what's not working, things that frustrate me, things that are going on in the hearing aid space, in the entrepreneurship journey. So it doesn't necessarily have to just be about hearing aids, although mainly that's sort of what we talk about. And we also do it enjoying some good bourbon. So I'm still discovering today. Let me show you. Today, I am going to be trying the Heaven Hill bourbon. This is Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. This bourbon's 7 years old. Awesome. And I'm trying to figure out what I like. So I'm going through, I have my bourbons neat, unless I have an old fashioned, but on the show, I'm normally having them neat and kind of just figuring out what I like, don't like, because I'm on that, just figuring out what works and doesn't work for me. I've found that normally I like things that are like 90 to 100 proof. Things past that are still a little too much for me. But I'm still figuring it out. I'm still going there. This is a 100 proof bourbon. But the reason I chose this one, and it was a story that stood out to me, and I'm going to read that to you guys. So, the Kentucky bourbon pays tribute to the earliest days of the distillery's history when in 1939 it released Heaven Hill Bottled in Bond. The namesake brand quickly became the number one selling bourbon whiskey in the state of Kentucky. Still today, the craftsmanship poured into this bottle by the same founding family meets exacting standards first set forth in the Bottled in Bond Act of 1897. This historic offering reflects on the company's founders' firm belief that it takes patience, perseverance to make something of great quality. That last line is what stood out to me. That last line is what we're going to be talking about. Like anything, I'm a sucker for like any small business, small family story. And just sticking to your guns, going through, sticking to the formula that works stands out to me. Let me crack this thing open. Let me pour it up. I may have to take these headphones off because it is way too hot. Guys, we're in March and Florida's like 90 degrees right now. It's crazy. And it was freezing the other day. My trees, I don't know if it'll show up. For those that are watching on video, my trees, some of them are burnt in the end. The cold freeze just took them out. So give me a second and let's pour this thing up. All righty. So we got this thing poured up. Here, cheers to a prosperous 2026. If you're watching this right now, it's March 26th. Well, it's about to be April, so you're probably going to watch this in April or hear this in April. But to a prosperous year for all the entrepreneurs that are on this journey. The last few that I've had were the Maker's Mark. I think that was the last episode, and I was not a fan of this. This I could do all day, every day. It's a little, no, this is good. It's got that, it's like a burnt cherry. In the end, I feel like I say the same thing every time. They all kind of taste like, oh, not all of them, but yeah, I definitely like this. Like I would enjoy it. It's not too like some of the other ones that didn't feel, I don't know if like the body or like it felt something about it just felt off. I'm not a whiskey, what is it, a connoisseur? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out on this journey. But this I would absolutely recommend. I would buy this. I would try this again. And we'll see. And this is like first impression because sometimes it could like punch you in the mouth in the first impression. This is not that. Maybe I'm graduating. Maybe I'm going to be ready to do like, past 100 proofs now. But this is 100 proof and yeah, no, it's nice and smooth. But I got to tell you guys a story actually before we get into the Cultivator of the Year award. And that is, let me find, I have a shout out, a huge shout out actually to someone on my LinkedIn. Angela Opal. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. So Angela on LinkedIn, a hearing instrument specialist at Elevate Hearing Center. So she said that I said congratulations on her new role, and she said that the podcast inspired her and it honestly made me so excited. She told me that she listens to it in the car all the time on her long commute into the office. In the office that she was undervalued at. So that line was amazing. And now my understanding is that she's opened her own practice or gone into a new venture. She said, "Love seeing your drive and success," and this means the world to me because I have people that do reach out and like, I see your podcast, or they've seen my Facebook videos, or they've seen some of the content that I'm doing, and it's I don't know. It's kind of surreal still to when we get feedback. I just love it. I just love it because entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. I first started by myself, so going into the Cultivator of the Year award, and which kind of ties in with this is when I first started my business. The Cultivator of the Year award is mainly for it was about the grind that I've been on, how I've cultivated and grown Altamont Family Hearing, which is our hearing aid store in Altamont Springs. We help the hearing impaired hear their best, and we follow best practices. We're very thorough. We've grown into a place, into a level of confidence now that we are providing the best services in our community, and we're confident about it, and we stand behind it. We have our services, we have all these things, right? But it took so long to get there. It took so long to like, get to that level of confidence. And the journey started with me by myself in an office. It started with me taking a leap of faith. I was making good money. I work for a big corporate office, the corporate chain, I should say, not an office. Well, at one point I was in the corporate office, and it was a corporate store with Here USA, and then from there I went into an independent practice owner, and then from there I took the leap and I said, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. And when I opened, it was by myself. I didn't even have a loan lined up. I just found a location. I was putting feelers out there if anyone was selling their practice, so I was actually interested in buying one, but that didn't happen. And then when we found my location, there used to be a bell tone in my office, and the bell tone had left, I think, like a year before. I heard they had closed some locations. Belltone's like a franchise of hearing aid stores, and they had closed that location, and I think another one down the road. When I went into the building, the building's called One Senior Place. It's like this big senior resource center, and pretty much they have all sorts of services and stuff for the aging population. When I walked in, the girl was like, "Hey, there used to be a hearing aid office here, so there are people that have come in looking for that service, and now they can't find it anymore." Which was, I mean, music to my ears, right? But the building itself, since they have classes and things for seniors, I was like, "Oh, this could be a good spot." But I did that. I mean, I took a leap. Like there was no that. I mean, I had some assurance with that statement, but that was nothing, right? Like it's not like I'm looking at bank statements. It's not like I was buying a practice that I knew how many people were there, how many people kept going, how often they were touched, how many patients they had. All these things that you would look at in evaluation when you're buying a business, none of that applied. This was one person saying like, "Oh yeah, we have people asking about your services." Wow, I'm enjoying that. So I started. I took the leap. I bought all of my equipment, desks, and everything. Some things were on Facebook Marketplace, like my desk, but the office equipment I bought some used. I bought things that I could use, things that I could new, but it was all on my American Express credit card. There was no loan. I didn't even have like a savings like that. I had like personal, but not I didn't have like a business fund that I was going to go into this. I just knew that I wanted to, and I was honestly I've always maintained good credit and been responsible with that, so I was hoping to get a loan. I was pretty confident that I would get a loan, but I had never applied for a loan for a business. I had applied for like my home or a vehicle, stuff like that. So yeah, so I dove in, was the PCC, was the provider, was seeing everyone. I was at networking events. Actually, to this day, just today, I was at a networking event with the Seminole Chamber. This is just a local like chamber of commerce in my area, hustling, right? And that I still do that to this day. Like, even though we are now, quote unquote, like a stable practice or successful practice, we as a business, there's up and down. Like, you have to keep feeding the pipeline. You have to keep marketing. You have to keep like doing mailers, being on YouTube, doing all those things, right? And so that's why the award is really special for me because it was pretty much recognizing the journey that I've been on. And this company, the company that gave me the award, they've been with me since day one. CQ Partners, they're a buying group. They're like think of like a business coach, sort of. So they kind of help you with like what's working, what's not. You get to talk to other providers all over the country that have offices too, and we get to it's like almost like working. Imagine that you're working like in a corporate chain or something. Like you get to communicate with people and ask questions and what's working and can I have a handout for this? Does anyone have a resource for that? So they kind of they guide you as you're starting off, and some people keep them even when they're a large established practice because they're a resource, right? They help you with resources, they help you with growth, they help you look at things that you would normally like otherwise miss. So they've seen when I went from like 0 patients, my first order to now that year over year, this is year 6 of my business and we have seen growth every year since we've opened, thank you God. And, and all the support and all the people that show love and all of our patients. Um, and my wife who held it down in the beginning so much, like, just to my support system all around. And thankfully we're in a place that we just continue to see growth and so they've seen it. So when I got nominated, when I got that award, it was I don't know, it was, it was special because it just made it forced me to take a moment and like really look back like man, I have been going through a lot. One of the biggest things is I went through a pandemic. So I opened on January 6th, 2020. No, January 1st, 2020 was when I did my LLC. My first actual day was February 6th, 2020. But January 1st, technically I already had the business. I was already like bringing things in, bringing furniture into the office, getting everything set up, doing my paperwork, getting credentialed with insurance, like all the things that it takes for a hearing aid store to get up and running. So I was working already, and then like as soon as I opened, we're talking February 6th, we had an open house, we had people coming in. It was like March-ish that the world was shutting down. And I mean, talk about an immediate like what am I gonna do moment? Because everyone went home and it's like, I don't have a paycheck. I wasn't furloughed. There was no, some people may have gotten, able to work remote or some sort of payment or ways for them to, and some people got completely furloughed and stopped, but at least they had like job security that something was going to come. There was nothing for me. Like I didn't know how long the world was going to shut down. It's still surreal to even talk about the world shutting down today. What a chapter in our history right now. Like it's kind of surreal that everything was closed and then the face masks and going out and everyone being so afraid and then having guidelines for those things, like for people to come in and how many people in the room and sanitizing and face masks with people that have hearing loss and I mean all these things, right? Like that was surreal. um we made it through and there were still challenges, I would say, like the growing pains. We still have growing pains today, but the growing pains that come from, opening your new business is that as people kept coming in, I was by myself. So I was the PCC, I was doing the marketing, I was doing the networking, I was seeing the patient, fitting the patient, doing the insurance, credentialing, outside of credentialing, like just submitting the authorizations, getting paid for them, making sure we got paid for them, all of those things. And then finally, I had to the first step was I had to get a call center, and I actually still use them to this day. So I use Call for You Marketing as for right now. Shout out to Brian. Thank you guys for making us sound good and look good whenever we are not present. So like if we're not in the office, the call center is like our call behind, so patients don't reach a voicemail. So I implemented a call center because I was getting voicemails, and then the voicemails it led to, "Hey, let me call them right back." Normally I was trying to call them within the day. Just about always I've called people like within 24 hours, if we could, right? But sometimes I would reach them either immediately the next day or even later that day, and they'd be like, "Oh, we scheduled somewhere else." And that hurt. That hurt because we were just opening. Like, we're trying to get business. And it's like, well, no, like I'm gonna take care of you and all these things. And some of those people did come back for a second opinion. Some of them we lost. Some of them they were like, no, it's okay. Thank you. We scheduled at XYZ store. So yeah. So they would say, we already scheduled and that would be like, there came a point that happened 3 times, and then that 3rd time, I was like, "I gotta do something," and then came the call center, so then at least so they had access to, like, my books, and they could, like when someone called the phone, they would be able to get them scheduled inside, and this I'm sure that every business of, whatever it is, if you're a painter, if you're a chiropractor, if you're a massage therapist, like, at some point like, this is part of that scaling up, like, there comes a point that you can't be everywhere, you can't get everything, right? Can't get to everything, so you gotta delegate, and delegating first step was that, and then the immediate next step was like, "No, we need help," and then came my wife Grace to be my patient care coordinator. She was working Well, she was working somewhere else at the time, and then when we had our first baby, when she came back, she came on to help me out in the office, and that was great, and actually it's worked out well for us. Like, a lot of people ask about the husband and wife thing and how does that work, and not really an issue with us, but it's been always so busy, thankfully, that we don't really like get to talk about personal things, I would say, so much at work. It's always work, work, work. Like, I need you to do this, do that. She's my backbone. Then we hired Francesca, which is our patient care coordinator now. Grace is still in the office as well. And then just last October, we hired Tony, which is our new hearing aid specialist. So we have another provider now. And it's taken, I mean, I'm kinda, like, fast forwarding 'cause I don't have to go through, like, every detail of the journey, right? If you have a business, like, you've been through this thing, and if you're going through it right now, like, this would be the order of operations of, like, if you're spending a lot of time on a task that doesn't generate revenue, like, stop and look at, like, "Do I really need to do this? Do I not? Is this part of the future vision that I have for the company? Is this part of the future version that I have? Like, is it a necessity to get there or not?" And if the answers are yes, and you can't get to both or whatever, or all the things, like, you can only be in one or two places, let's say, at once, even if you multitask. Um, there comes a point that you need to delegate. You need to hire somebody, and that should be that trigger. And someone gave me that advice in the beginning. He was or is an entrepreneur. He owns a very successful law firm, and we sat down at lunch. His name's Jeff Hudson, with Family First Law. And right off the bat, I think this was 2020 or 21, but he told me, like, hire. Like, you just need to hire. Hire, let it go, let someone else do it. Hire, let it go, let someone else do it. If you keep doing it, you won't grow. This is my advice to whoever's watching this right now. Hire, let it go. Hire, let it go. Hire, let it go. And I'm kind of saying it for myself right now because I also need to I keep hearing it because I have a very hard time letting go. Anyone in my staff can let you know, like, I'm still doing our marketing, I still do our social media, even though Francesca's helped with that, Grace has helped with that. I've even hired people to, like, edit videos or edit things, and on top of that, I just feel like I have to have my hands in everything, and that is wrong because I cannot have my hands in everything. I just, it's not possible to do that. So, I am doing much better at letting go and hiring, and my goal is to continue hiring. And whenever there's a bandwidth issue for one day, don't pull the trigger, like, for a month, right? But if you start noticing that there is a trend of, like, man, no, like, I'm falling behind has been 2 3 months and I just can't get there, like, that might be the sign to say either some sort of virtual assistant, which exists now, and that's I haven't used that, so I can't speak to that, but that is a thing that seems to be very popular, or hiring. Like, and it's okay to hire, like, it's actually so good to hire because you, like, you're it makes you, as an entrepreneur, it makes you feel amazing that you are now, paying signing the paychecks for other people that are making a livelihood. And if you can pay them well, like, we pay our PCCs well above, well, actually, I'll say, without, like, I guess, sure, no, what, I'll say PCCs when I was at Here USA was like 14, 15, 16 an hour. It's probably changed now, but our PCC is now at about $20 an hour. And, I'd say, like, 18 to 20, depending on how many things they're doing, is appropriate for, like, a front office person because there's so many places, at least in Central Florida, that you can call around, and they're not making, and we try to do bonuses and all these other things. Like, I wanna pay them more. I wanna pay them as much as I possibly can, but there's also such thing as, like, paying what is justifiable for that role, right? And a lot of people will be like, "Well, why are you paying that? Like, you could pay someone 15 an hour if they're just answering the phone." But it's like, the truth is that I have my staff do more than, I would say, than what that role is. And at some point, it's gonna happen. At some point, that person's going to be overextended, and then we need to hire another person. So there's also a tricky thing of, like, you can't pay too much because then when you hire the other person to relieve them, like, then you're paying 2 and then their job, you know what I mean? Like, you're overpaying for the role that they're doing because now you're taking more off their plate, which we actually have started doing. It's just trying to take off some of their plate because they help me so much, and if I say I need this, I need that, they're willing to help, but the goal is not to burn anyone out, not for me to burn out, not for an employee to burn out, not for anybody to burn out because they're all human beings. Like, there's always gonna be stress in any job that you're in, ever, right? It's always going to happen. So, but there has to be like a justifiable amount. Like you can't feel like I can't catch up every single day of my life. Like that's not healthy either. So yeah, like you can't. The goal is like if you're going into business for yourself, you've probably escaped some version of like either being undervalued, underappreciated, overworked. So like the goal, like try to remember that for yourself whenever you're in the business. And it's something I have to remind myself, and I'm having a really hard time with this one actually, but just realizing that like life, we work to provide, to have a quality of life for ourselves, for our patients, for our staff. So whenever that's going out the window in the office, like we need to just continue to reevaluate, like, okay, what can we do to have a balance? I guess we want to thrive. Yes, we want to be successful, but we can't see everybody. We can't fit everybody. We can't promise everyone that they're going to have their hearing aids in 2 days because there's only, 8 work hours, subtract lunch, 7 work hours, right? In the day, you just can't, if you have a lot of fittings and a lot of people that are coming in, like you can't. So, and as an entrepreneur, you want to tell every person that comes in, I'm going to take care of you, and I'm going to take care of you right now. I'm going to get you here and better right away, by tomorrow, by the next day. Like, we can overpromise. And I try to say, hey, your hearing is going to be in about a week, and I'll see you as soon as I can after. Well, sometimes they'll come in 2 days, but we don't have availability for 10. And that sort of thing, right? Like once you make too many of those promises, or you start doing that, you start feeling like I'm overextending myself. You start feeling like, "Oh, I'm making promises I can't keep," or even if the patient is not upset, because I honestly have not had, like, it's not, I can't say ever, but it's rare that a patient's like mad that, oh, my hearing aid, I need to get my hearing aid. Like it's usually like if someone's going out of town, and usually for stuff like that, like we're gonna see them after hours, we're gonna figure it out, right? Like if someone's about to fly out. And just about always we have loaners and things we'll give to people. But whatever your trade is, right? Like if it's the same thing, like we want to do the best for the person. Like we want to give them the best right away, right? And and you can't, like, you can give them the best service, but you can't do it yesterday. We're not like an Amazon Prime world where they're going to get it in a day or two. You're not going to paint someone's house, in 2 days. So it's that, like, starting to set realistic expectations for yourself, to not stress yourself out, but also for the other person, so that you don't put that stress on you. Like even if they're not mad, there's this thing in the back of my mind of like, I got to see Mr. Smith, I got to see Mrs. Smith, I got to see Mr. Gonzalez, I got to da da da. And then when you're going to bed at night, like this thing is, keeping you up. It keeps you wired, keeps you going. So definitely, just it all goes back to the theme of like, as you keep growing, like there definitely comes a point that you got to be like, hey, I gotta hire, I gotta grow, I gotta hire. And this is like it's the only way that I can continue. It's the only way that any of us can grow a successful business. If you're working, and I'm just now getting to this point. Like I'm just now, I would say as of like October, November last year, well, not even going into now, February-ish, January, February, that we're still building systems and ways for me to delegate and effectively do all the things that I want to do now with two providers. If you're just always grinding, that's not the point. Like that's not why you got into business, was to be stressed out all the time. It's not easy. Like going through this journey, I tell everyone that's, like, getting into business, and let's say you're starting for yourself, like, entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. Like, there are always things that are happening. I keep saying, and I will continue saying, that the juice is worth the squeeze, but it takes there was a whole podcast episode where I was talking about, like, who should get into entrepreneurship. It's having, this mentality of, like, you're gonna have curveballs that are thrown your way, right? And you have to be able to like continue to adapt through all of this. And that's why that whole cultivator award felt so special, because these people have practices that have 3, 4, 5, 6 locations. I'm still a one location now to provider office, but just to recognize like, hey, we've seen the hustle. Also, I'm doing a lot on social media. Like that takes time: video shooting, editing, podcasting, editing, pictures, like all these things. And these are things that I want to do. And it's all a lot of time. And I have a family. I have two little girls. That, when I clock out on Friday, especially, I want to have the best time with them. I want to go to Disney. My wife is literally at Disney right now while I'm shooting this, just because I worked a little later, and she was like, I'm gonna take the girls. And I was like, all right, well, this is my opportunity to do this. Right. But like I want to do this. Like this is not a chore for me. I love doing it, but you do have to take time to do that. So like all this effort, especially on the marketing side of things for me. Like, cause you can do an audio in like your sleep if you've been a provider for a long time. It's almost like autopilot to a degree, to be able to do that, to test and fit. Like once you do enough of that, like it's almost like second nature, But all these other things that I'm doing, all these other marketing efforts, they take time and energy. So thank you, CQ Partners, for that. And yeah, guys, if you're on this journey, please, if you're a hearing aid specialist, an audiologist, you're opening your own practice, you have questions, what's worked, what's not, what's good, what's bad, I'd be happy to help you. Every market is different, but I'd be happy to share, to kind of like my journey, and there's just too much for me to like tell you like everything that we've been through and this and that. But for the most part, like in any business, you're gonna go through things. You're gonna have that upset customer, you're gonna have that person that that's gonna try to negotiate you all the way down, and there's gonna be times that you're gonna say no, and it's gonna be the best decision that you've ever said is to say no. I recently had that, just to say we won't go down that low, even though the competitor down the street will. And it's like, well, we have 150 5-star Google reviews and reviews in all other channels, and we're one of the few providers that follow best practices, one of the few providers that have options with all the manufacturers. Like, there comes a point that you can that confidence comes in, and you're like, I don't need to throw it away because and patients will push it. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, and if you're within a reasonable, you're within a reasonable level, the patient's going to choose whatever provider they feel is going to give them the best care, whoever they feel the most confident with, and that's kind of what I tell the patients. And recently, I told this person that's been with me actually for a while, and she's just like, I'm so the company was like 2 grand below what is normal with any practice, with any competitor, so much so that I'm like, wow, and they were like, and I could do even more off of that, and I can give you 2 years of financing, and I can give you this accessory that's $1,800 for free. And it's like, out of all of it, I'm like, man, I even told her flat out, I was like, that company will not last. Like there is, their margins, if any, are so low, right? Like even if like anywhere you guys go, by the way, when you go to buy something like Care Credit and stuff, if you do 18 months, 24 months, no interest, like that, the company that pays for that is the business, by the way. I'm sure every entrepreneur or every or most people know that, but just in case you didn't, like that costs money, right? That's not like free, or it's not like, oh, this is Care Credits promo. Every now and then they'll have like a gift card promo, but those things cost money. And they were like giving 24 months for free, which is like 10% for us, which is, I mean, it's imagine anything you buy. Let's say, I don't know, you buy Windows and 10, let's say there's 4 grand and 10% is what it costs just to get the 24 months of no interest. That's $400 off. Plus, their margins, their cost of goods, their staff, their rent, their license, whatever it is. Like it costs money to have a business, right? So, when you see all that, I'm like, this company's not going to be around. One, they just showed up overnight, and two, they're not going to stand the test of time at that pricing, unless they adjust. Maybe they're just really aggressive to get foots in the door. Um, people to buy from them. Wow, that is so good. That is. I'm going to pour another one. Please hold. Alrighty. So we're back. The I'm doing just a little bit because I actually have work to do and videos to edit and things after this. Heaven Hill, but yeah, no, it's good. Like right off the bat, it's just like after it airs out, it's even smoother. But that Heaven Hill bottled in bond, 7 year, what a good time. Yeah. So where was I? So so yeah. So there comes a point with something like that that it's okay to tell that person, hey, I hear what you're saying. We cannot, we as a business, like you get the confidence to be able to say, no, we're not gonna do that. Like this is our pricing. Help them where you can, of course, especially if it's someone that's been with you. And what is it? It's cheaper to keep a customer than earn one. To a degree. Like we worked with her, and in the end, she was really stuck. And and stories like that are gonna happen. And don't take that personal. That person may be in a bind. Whoever that is, and really they're looking for any little bit of help to really afford them. But when it's just the person that's trying to get the best bargain and the best deal, like there just comes a point that you can say, we're not going to be the cheapest guy in town anymore, or not anymore, but we're not going to be the cheapest guy in town because we actually go above and beyond. We go further than what is required by law when it comes to fitting the hearing aids. We go further than just a basic fitting, and this is why. And our appointments are an hour and a half, not 30, 45 minutes for a quick screening. When your hearing aids go out, you're going to go home with a loaner. I'm never going to leave you without a hearing aid ever. That is not okay in any circumstance. That's part of our services. We're going to service them for 5 years. Normally, hearing aids last 4 or 5. We're going to make sure that for the life of that hearing aid, you don't have to worry about anything. Whatever version of this there is in your trade, but there comes a point that you can say that with confidence. Like, yeah, you can go to the corporate store, maybe save a buck or two, but then when you go back and you're upset and you have an issue, guess what? The person that you saw is probably not going to be there anymore because one of the biggest issues with corporate stores, and I see it all day, every day, all around me, is they rotate staff like crazy. Like the people at my local Here USA, Miracle Ear, Belltone, um, I mean, Costco is like a whole different category, but even the Costco, like, there's been different people. I've been in business 6 years, and I just keep seeing different names all around. The only place that I've seen like they have stability is like ear, nose, and throat offices. They must pay their audiologist well. I'm assuming because they all stay, which is it's still shocking to me why an audiologist wouldn't go into business on their own and work for an ENT. But I'm assuming that it's lucrative enough, or really their passion is there, right? Like maybe that. But or maybe they just don't have the entrepreneurial spirit because this is not I'm not saying, anyone can jump in and do it. It takes effort and some people may not want it. So and that's okay. That's okay. Like some people may want to just like clock out on Friday and go home to their family and not worry about a damn thing until Monday, right? Where I'm over here like, okay, I gotta edit this video, I gotta do that, I gotta do accounting, payroll needs to go out. What about insurance? What about like all these other things that happen, it never your brain really never in my experience so far in my journey never really turns off. I'm sure that there's a level of success, let's say that where people have a system, they have managers to oversee things like that. That would be next, is to have other people do the things that stress you out. um but yeah, so thank you CQ Partners for the award. It meant the world. Oh, we also got business rate, business of the year, hearing aid business of the year. That was really nice. That was based on like Google reviews and stuff. That was really nice. I appreciated that too. But the but yeah, for anyone that's new in this journey, anyone that's starting, anyone that's looking to start, feel free to let me know. I'd be happy to sit down with anyone on a podcast. Sit down, or just if anyone reaches out, I'd be happy to just tell them what works for me. I know there's people that are like, "Oh no, why do you share? Like, why do you this and that?" And it's like, I actually have no secret in this trade. Like, if my competitors want to beat me, they know how because I put it on video. It's follow best practices. Don't do the minimum. Do the full eval, which I never see. You know, offer all the manufacturers. Don't get baited into loans with one, especially if you're iffy about it, because then you're going to be selling a thing you don't believe in, and the patients are going to know it and they're going to feel it, and then when the next manufacturer comes out, Phonak, Oticon, Signia, whomever, when they come out with the next best thing that helps people even more, plus the services in your trade and all the things that you can do to make that hearing aid better, you're going to sit there going, "Oh, I really wish I could do that." And that's tempting, right? Like any manufacturer of any trade, if they come and they're like, "Hey, we're going to give you X amount of dollars to do this, to do this, to do that." Then you're tempted by loans, and it's like, well, you just got to pay back X amount of dollars or buy as many units, like avoid that as much as you can, because now you are not really you're biased. Now your decisions that you're making for the patient care is based on what you need to meet financially, and that's a bias. So this is the Bald Hearing Guy. Thank you for sitting through this episode of Wax and Whiskey. I'm going to try to do more. I've had, just plans and things that I want to do. Some things don't happen. It's hard to get a guest. Guests that I want to have on the show, like people that are in our industry or other entrepreneurs. It's a little difficult for me, and I've had a hard time. I've been saying since episode one. If anyone's been watching since or listening since episode one, I've been saying that I want to have guests, and I have a big challenge because we have two kids, and we normally do this after work, not on a Friday. And some of the people that we are inviting over, like it's happened twice already. Either their kid gets sick, or our kid gets sick, and you know it's been challenging. I'll say it's been challenging because this is not my full time is being in an office and seeing patients as much as I can, right? So it's hard to make time and my personal time to do this as well. But it is still a goal. I do have some providers that I want to have on and just have different conversations that I think would be good conversations to have about hearing healthcare in general, entrepreneurship in general. But yeah, if you guys are into that, continue listening to the Bald Hearing Guy and Wax and Whiskey. And thank you guys for the love, the support. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. JC Soto is my name. It actually says JC Bald Hearing Guy Soto. Be happy to connect with you. And cheers to more growth in 2026.